Hi everyone, Kim here for Treasure League Kit Club. What I've got for you today is a tutorial on how I created this canvas using our March mixed media kit. If you haven't seen our kit, I'll link our kit reveals above. We have 3 kits and one of them is a mixed media kit. I used the kit plus some items from my stash to create this canvas. So hopefully you'll follow along with me to create this canvas. The one thing about our mixed media kit is you always get a project with the mediums. So it's a standalone kit and you can start creating as soon as you open the box. So we'll do this canvas, but before we jump into it, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below and you also hit that notification bell so that you're notified every time we upload a video, and you don't want to miss any of our videos because our designers will be creating with all our kits, and they'll be showing you some techniques that you can use with our chipboard because we also sell chipboard. This piece of chipboard that I used that's in this kit is also available in our store, and our website is www.treasurelegkits.com. So make sure you come by and see us there. You can check out all our past kits and you can stock up on some of our laser cut chipboard. Just make sure when you go to Chipboard you click on each category so you see what's available in each section. Okay, so I'm going to stop talking now and we're going to go ahead and jump into the tutorial on this canvas right here. Alright, see ya! Okay, for this canvas we'll be using everything from the mixed media kit, plus I pulled a few things from some past mixed media kits and a few things from my stash that I really wanted to use on this canvas. Have a vision in my head and hopefully it turns out the way that I see it in my head. We all know how that goes. So I'm going to start off. I grabbed this stencil. And I believe this was actually from a past Cards, Tags, and More kit. The kit that we did with the art journal. And this is some gesso from a past mixed media kit. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit of stenciling on the background of this canvas. And it's just going to go randomly in a few places. So I am really happy with how the stenciling came out, and I'm not going to dry that. I'm going to set it aside and let that air dry while I go ahead and work on something else. Multitasking is going to be the key here. I'm going to go ahead and take the piece of chipboard from the kit. Oh, and I should have grabbed my mat. Oh well, I'll just have to keep wiping up. And I'm going to take some clear gesso, and this is just from my stash, and I'm going to give the chipboard a coat of clear gesso because later on I'm going to be misting this, and I don't want the chipboard to soak up the mist, because you know how wood and paper, paper tends to soak up your mist. If you give it a coat of clear gesso real quick and let that dry, it won't soak in all your mist and you won't have to use as much. So I like to coat all my chipboard no matter what I do with it. If I use embossing powder on it, I like to cover it. So now that that's done, we're going to set that aside and we're going to go back to our canvas. Clean that up real quick. And it's not quite dry yet, so we are going to have to hit it with the heat gun. Okay. It's still not 100% dry, but that's okay, because what we're going to do next is we're going to take our gum Arabic and we're going to take the magicals from the kit and we're going to make our mist. because we're going to be using a combination of mist and magicals. I've got some of the mini misters and I've already got some water in them. And I'm going to show you how to make your mist using the gum arabic. What the gum arabic does is it helps, you use it as a binder, and what it does is it helps the magicals, especially with the shimmer, bind to whatever you're going to use them on. So you mix that with your pigment into the water and it will create your mist. And I don't want to make a whole lot of it, so that's why I'm using my small mini misters. And what you do is you add the dry gum arabic to your pigment in a ratio of 1 part of gum arabic to 4 parts of your pigment. I'm going to do half of that because I'm not making a whole lot and I don't want my pigments that deep. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. And I've got a little scooper here. And I'm going to take about half of this and dump that in. And I'm going to take my first magical, which is the Cathedral Pines. It's really pretty green. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up. I'm going to do 2 scoops of that. And before I do anything else, I'm putting the lid back on this because I am clumsy. And the last thing I want to do is spill my magicals all over the place. So I'm going to take that in there. I'm going to seal it. And I'm going to give that a shake. And the reason I'm doing this now is because I want these to sit so they can go ahead and mix. Moving on to the next one. Our next color is going to be the Antique Gold. And again, I'm going to use the same formula, half a scoop. And we're just eyeballing this. Might use a little bit more. Okay, so now we're going to shake these. So I'm going to be using these colors, but I'm also going to be using Phantom Fuchsia, and this was also from a past mixed media kit. And that's the good thing about our mixed media kits. You get a project, but you get all these mediums that you use on your project, but you have them in your stash to go back to use later. So these are the colors that I'm going to be using. And so now I'm done with the gum arabic for now, but I've got so much left, and because it's a powder, you can seal that up and you can sit it on your shelf and it's got a good shelf life. And you've got your powders here, and I'm probably going to be using these in the powder form too, to show you another way to use these versus instead of just using them as a spray. So I'm going to be using those again. So we're all set with those. And now back to our canvas, which should be close to being dry. I know our chipboard is dry. And so now it's really pretty much about building. And I've got an idea in my head as to how I want this to go. And so I'm going to take the chipboard and I'm going to take the shutter piece, which I pretty much know I want to go right here. And I'm going to take our flowers. Now the flowers that you got are mistable as well. These are alterable as well, so you can use the mist on them. You can use the shaker on them. And what I like to do with these though is, especially the white ones, is just put a little bit of the shaker in my little tray and squirt in a little bit of water, and then take the brush and brush in the center and then mist it with water and let the color diffuse out so it's deeper in the middle and then it's lighter out to the edges. So we'll see if we end up doing that. But I kind of know I want this big flower, and I want this big flower for the center here. And I know I'm going to be using some foam dots and things to pop stuff up. And we've also got these metals. So I'm just going to be working with my arrangement to get an idea as to how I want these to go. Okay, so now that I've got my placement all figured out, we're going to zoom in a little bit more. So you can see that's the placement. And I'm going to take everything off, and we're going to start to work on the color on the background of this. So I'm going to remove all this and set it aside. And just a quick tip, once you get your placement down, I took my phone and I took a photo of what the background looks like, and then I take everything off in sections and kind of set it aside in the sections that it's going to go in, so I have an idea as to where everything goes. We're a little stuck here. I don't think my... And I'm going to start with some of the purple. They say you're supposed to start with the lightest color, and I'm trying to picture if that's going to work out the way that I want it to. So we'll try it and see. And my lightest color is actually going to be the gold. And I'm going to work from the center out. And remember, we made our gold mist and it's been sitting. And so I'm going to go ahead and give that a shake. And I'm going to give it a little mist on the mat to get it started. And I'm going to hold it a distance . Alright, you see how it has picked up the design from the stenciling that I did earlier. What I'm going to do is take just like a slightly damp baby wipe, and I'm going to clear the areas where I really didn't want the gold. It's actually best to do this before it dries down, because I want my gold more concentrated in that center area, and these are just, it's just a little splatter that I'm clearing off. Now if you want a more precise application, what you can do is take your tray and you can spray into the tray, and then you can go ahead and add the color there, or because we have our shakers, you can take a little bit and you can shake your color on. So I'm going to shake a little color in the center, just a little bit, because this can be really intense. And I'm going to shake a little color here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my bottle of water and spray it. And now I've got my color. If I want to add a little more, I'll just take my shaker and add a little bit more where the water is. Again, I'm going to clean up a little bit more. And the reason I'm doing this is because around the edges I want to add another color, and I really want to be intentional about where I place the other colors. And I kind of don't want to mix. And so now I'm going to go in with my green. I think that's my blue, and this is my green. And again, I'm going to hold this away, but I'm going to hold it upright. A little mist here. There we go. Give it a little shake. Alright, now I do want to add a little more gold, but this time I'm going to shake a little bit of the gold on because I just want to add it in a couple of places. And like I said, I want to be intentional with where I want to add it. So I'm going to take my brush there. We're going to set this aside, and we are going to paint our chipboard. And I'm going to make a little bit of a paste with the gold. So I've added some water to my tray, and I'm going to sprinkle in some of the gold. And I'm going to make a little bit of a pasty paint. And we're just going to go along and paint the chipboard. And because we colored this with clear gesso, this should... Okay, so this is what we're looking like. And I don't know if you noticed, but there were a few spots that were not as covered as others, but that's fine. What I'm going to do is make a little bit of a paste. So I'm going to go to my water, and then I'm going to go to my teal shaker, and I'm going to go ahead and mix this. A little bit of water and a lot of magical, and make a little bit of a paste. And now this is where the fun begins. I'm going to take a little in my hand and just randomly rub some. And so now this is what we're looking like. It looks a little patina. It's got a little bit of a patina effect. I'm also going to take the shutter, and I'm going to do the same thing to the shutter. Take some of the paste that we made, and just randomly rub. And so here's our shutter. I'll set that aside. And as far as our letters here, I'm going to go back to some of the white gesso, and I'm just going to give these a coat or two of white gesso. Now I'm going to go back to our canvas, and I'm going to take a little more of the paste that we made and rub across the top of some of the stenciling. Okay, so it's time for us to go ahead and finish this off what I did off camera was I took the brown flowers and I sprayed them with the gold mist. I wanted to really tie these in, and the brown wasn't doing it, so the gold mist really kind of tied it in for me. So I'm going to start with my flowers, and I've got some pop dots here, or you can use foam tape or whatever you have, but I'm going to pop up some of these flowers. And so I'm going to go ahead and start adhering that down, and it's going to go, and I already know it's going to go there. And this one I don't even have to pop up, but I want to also double check to make sure that I'm getting my placement right. Well, that's going to go there. That one's going to go here. But I'm going to go ahead and add my little metal pieces. Which I know is going to go right here. And the good thing about my metal pieces is they're thin enough that you can bend them a little bit. So if they don't sit flat or flush, that's okay. In the meantime, I think we're going to go ahead and try and pull out some leaves that we're going to add to this. And we're going to use some of these leaves here. And these are from my stash. I don't think I have any darker ones out. So we're going to go ahead and use these. It should be fun to add. There we go. Next thing is we want to make sure we get this all glued down, and we're going to have to use some foam tape because we've got some gaps in there. So we're going to take this or flip it over, and I'm going to start with foam tape. Some corners we're not going to need a whole lot, and some corners are going to have to double up. Time to work on our inside here. And for our inside here, of course, we're going to have to use some pop dots. And I'll be using a couple. I'm going to place one in the center. But I'll also be placing some around the outside as well. I'm going to add some more color to this. But before I add more color, I want to add some earth stones. And so we got earth stones in quite a few kits. So I'm going to take some earth stones and I'm just going to pour some into a cap. And I'm going to be using some soft gloss gel to adhere my earth stones. That's what works best for me. And I'll be working actually from, the cap, the little cap. That way I get what I need. And I'm just going to be placing some earth stones So, all around. That seems to be enough for me for right now. You can always go back and add more if you like. But for right now, that seems to be enough for me. I'm with the art stones, and I want to adhere. Still a couple of other things that I want to do. So I'm going to give this a little more color. Be careful because your earth stones aren't dry yet. I think I might hit this with my heat tool just to dry some of my earth stones. Put caps on everything so you don't have any spills. I've got quite a few spills here that I didn't anticipate, but we're all good. Once that's done, I've got some Liquitex ink here. I've got black and I've got bright gold. And I think I'm going to take the gold and we'll give this a few little splatters. So and now it just needs to dry and we're all done.